Bainbridge Island, so under the Agate Pass Bridge there. Just drove over here and parked. And I'm about to walk to the Haleets Rock, or it's called Figurehead Rock as well. It's well, like most rocks, it's ancient, but it also has some pretty ancient inscriptions. They're estimated to be somewhere between 1,500 and 3,000 years old. And the way to find it, first road next to the bridge is Reachham Road, and you come down to where the power lines are. There's a little bit of parking here, and right next to the power lines, just this short trail pops down to the beach. Pops you out down here under the bridge. Over here is the Suquamish Reservation. It's the Clearwater Casino over there. Over that way is Paulsbo. So you want to come here at extreme low tide when it's at like 0 or less than 0, pretty much, to be able to walk out to the rock. Otherwise you'll be wading out to it, which I guess that's fine. But also, if you come at complete high tide, the tide's all the way up, and at the high point of the tide is where the private property lines start. So this whole area here, where the intertidal zone, is not private property, so you can walk on it. I've come the other way as well, from parking at the end of Northeast North Street. There's a short little trail that comes down. It's a little bit shorter of a walk along the beach, but actually like this walk better. It's just a little more, I don't know, picturesque. It's not far. It's probably a mile and a half or 2 miles at the most. Haven't measured it. Oh, crab. Dog's happy to see me. Hey, buddy. Really nice properties. Well, especially on the beach, but there are a few. Actually, there's a bunch of scattered, I should say, kind of older properties on Bainbridge Island, farms and stuff. I think the history here said, can't remember exactly the year, but the bridge was only put in, I think, in like maybe the 50s or 60s. And before that, they had some ferry service. They had a mosquito fleet, ferries they called it, small ferries, mostly walk on, and quite a lot of I think some tribal people lived here, as well as a lot of Japanese people, having farms and then taking their crops over to Seattle. I'm here at the north side of the island here, and at the south side is pretty close to Seattle, just a few miles across the water there. The crane out here catching fish. Then when World War II happened and the Japanese government attacked Pearl Harbor, shortly after that, President Roosevelt, I think it was in 1942, I think, and you know, all the Congress people and so on, called for internment of all the Japanese people. So the Japanese people that had property here on the island, farmers and stuff, they sent off to internment camps. And I think for a couple, 3 years, and I think some of them lost their properties. Some of them came back. And sometime, like I said, in the 50s or 60s, this bridge was made, and the ferry fleet was also upgraded to have drive-on ferries and a larger terminal at the south end of the island there. So this became sort of a I don't want to say a suburb of Seattle, but it's kind of like that. If a lot of people commute, some rich people have like second homes over here. And the land value here is very high. Well, there are a few rundown houses remaining, but probably not for too long, because the keeping up with the land and the taxes is pretty expensive. Oftentimes when those rundown houses get bought, especially if they've got a view or they're on the beach, they get torn down and rebuilt with a complete new one. Some old rails here to, looks like, to get the boat probably on a cart, rail cart, in and out of the garage there. Pretty cool. Another rock. So I've been out here a couple times before, and I gotta admit, the first time I came, I was a bit disappointed to find the rock and see that it was mostly covered in barnacles. I'd seen pictures online that show the ancient petroglyphs, sort of chipped in inscriptions with people kind of look like they're waving their arms and stuff. Pretty rough figures, but you can't really see them because they're covered by barnacles, because most of the time the rock is at least half submerged under the water. So while they have cleaned it off occasionally to study the petroglyphs and such, I think it only takes, well, several weeks before the barnacles grow on it again. And I understand that if I cleaned it too frequently, it would probably erode the surface and wear away the petroglyphs before long. So it's not, you know, as a visual thing, it's not real impressive to look at, but it's I think it's about knowing the history of it that makes it interesting. And if nothing else, it's a nice walk out here along the beach. I guess it's kind of how you look at outdoor activities, you know, like going fishing, for example. Is you can go fishing and catch nothing. It can still be a good day. You know, all things aside, as long as you didn't need the fish to eat, you got something else to eat. But you know, just an activity, getting out, get your feet grounded. Look at all these shells. So many shells. Millions and millions. A lot of the beaches are pretty rocky out here in this area, but here and there you find a nice sandy one. So right in this area here, near this house and this tree, this is the northernmost point of Bainbridge Island. It's called Agate Point. And this narrow channel here is called Agate Passage. Man, that's an awesome tree. Weeping willow tree. Really cool. So across the way over there and up around the bend a few miles is the Suquamish Tribal Reservation. It's a pretty big reservation. I actually live just outside it, but haven't gone there a few times and talked to people at the museum, getting to be friends with some of the natives. I understand that quite a large portion of it over the years has been sold off as private property to various people. So there's a lot of white people and other kinds of people that live there too now. I think it was, if I remember right, the Port Madison Treaty of 1855 that, I don't want to say gave them that land. Previously, kind of all of this land, probably this island and so on, would have been shared, I suppose. I guess maybe the accurate way to put it is they were limited to this land. It's kind of the way history goes. It's a somber note. So I've done some exploring over there too, and they have I guess it's basically like a Christian type of graveyard. I think it's outside of the Catholic church there, and that's where Chief Seattle is buried. There's a pretty big monument there to him with some of his words and stuff like that. So I think more into the history there is, you know, Seattle's down on off the south end of the Bainbridge Island here. And Chief Seattle would have been the chief at the time over there in that area when the white people started coming and taking over. And eventually they got pushed farther and farther out and ended up over here. Nice resting log. On my way back, I might come and chill out, have a seat over there, eat a snack. Yeah, over there is the Suquamish dock. I was just up there a few days ago. On the weekend, they had their annual canoe paddle, where people from various native tribes around come, and they kind of do a route, and they have sort of a powwow. I don't know what the proper word is, but a ceremony and a feast there, and spend the night. And I think they went from there down to Auburn area, Muckleshoot, and continued their canoe journey. So we got somebody fishing out here. Some nice little cabins up in here. Some bigger houses up there. It's pretty rough walking out here on some of these rocks with barnacles. I'm wearing sandals today, but gotta be a little careful. You cut your feet up. Decent idea to wear some hiking boots, to be honest. Makes it a little bit easier. It's a hot day. I like to keep cool. Kind of a ramshackle old deck. Alright, it's coming up. It's around the corner here. Yep, that's it up there. Yeah. Remember this little boat shed here with the eagle? Yeah, it's just right past that. Yeah, you can see all these barnacles down below the water line, coming up pretty high here. And now that the sun's shining just right, you can really see the relief pretty well on this. Here's one of the faces. It's partially exposed. Dang barnacles. But you can see here sort of the round outline of a head, the two eyes, a big wide open mouth. It's been chipped into the rock. It may have been more clear at some point, but you know, thousands of years of erosion probably wore it away. And there's actually several of them on this rock. When they've cleaned it off before, you can see, I can share with you an archival photo. And there are all these faces. Haleets is what the local Suquamish tribe, the reservation over there, that's what they named this. The white people called it Figurehead Rock. Figurehead being like the head on the prow of a ship. Haleets, the native name, apparently means either many faces or marked face. And the interesting thing is, they're facing straight out here, more or less due west. And there's at least one guy who has a theory that somewhere over here in the distance, Suquamish area, that was another tribal area, and there's a canyon over there, and he says at the equinoxes that you can see the sun shining straight down that canyon here, and so this may have been kind of used as a marker to tell the changing of the seasons. Yeah, it sticks out. Oh, this high side only about 4 feet, the other side about 5 feet. Not sure how far down it goes. It's about 8 to 10 feet long that way, depending on where you'd measure it. And it's sandstone. It's probably an erratic boulder, meaning that it came from somewhere else, probably North Canada area, from the Ice Age would be my guess. And I think that's a increasingly popular theory, is that in the last Ice Age, sometime around 13,000 years ago possibly, there was hundreds of feet of ice up there, and even on down here quite a bit of ice. But that up there, as the ice was melting, there was a huge lake, like almost like an ocean of melted ice water, and icebergs floating in it, some rafts, ice rafts if you want to say, and some of those would be huge, you know, much bigger than this rock, and the rock could have been embedded or on one of those. And then eventually the edge of the ice that was holding all that water in broke and gave way, and all that ice water came rushing down here to the south. And you can see evidence of it with a lot of these erratic boulders around that are types of stone that don't really come from here, but more likely come from up in Canada area, a couple hundred miles away. And you can see a lot of evidence of it in eastern Washington with the rolling hills. You can see all these hills that are real wavy, and that's thought to be erosion from all that water rushing through, rocks and boulders and water, icebergs, all that. I think 200-300 years ago there was a pretty big earthquake here, and a lot of this area dropped roughly 3 feet. So for probably thousands of years this may have been above the water, with these inscriptions all exposed. So you can see this survey mark here. It says U.S. Coast Guard Geodetic Survey Reference Mark, Washington, D.C., for information, blah, blah, blah. And it's got an arrow that points due north. And right here it says 1931. Look at that. It's kind of cool. And also, there's an earlier mark. This is from the 1800s, I think. It says CS. That was chipped in here. It's not a lot to look at, this rock here. You know, there's a lot of other rocks that are more or less like it, but just this one's got those particular carvings that have been noticed and studied. There's a lot more information on this rock than some of these others. Don't know if any of them have any carvings or ever did, but I assume this rock had some significance to people. And now it's on the map, but it's not really like a tourist destination or anything. I know people come down here occasionally, but I've never seen anyone. But you know, there's something just kind of interesting just about just being with it, touching it, sitting on it, and just thinking about all that history, how times change and so on. And it can be kind of profound if you just sit still and think about it. All right, tide's rising, but I got some time yet. I got probably about 5 or 6 hours before it gets all the way up there. I found a nice little flat one. I might take this rock home. I got lots of rocks at home. I live at the beach too. It's kind of like this rocky beach, tons of rocks. I don't know why, but this one strikes me as being kind of cool. It's got a real flat surface there. Cleaved rock. One time I found a cleaved kind of split rock like this, and then spent an inordinate amount of time trying to find the other half of it. Never did find the other half. But probably been scattered. It could be hundreds of miles away for all I knew. Yeah, there's some kind of interesting stuff. Like, I don't know, this looks like slate. Maybe just a piece split off from something. Somewhere up here, probably. Kind of cool looking. Now, I haven't seen a lot of trash on this beach, but a lot of times when I do go to a beach, I like to bring a bag and pick up some trash as I'm beachcombing. Why not? It's a little something positive to do. I feel good about myself if nothing else. My wife didn't want to come with me today, but she did ask that I bring her home a nice shell. And she mentioned on the way out, I had already forgotten. She said, "Don't forget to bring my shell." And I was thinking, what? Shelf? She wants me to buy her a shelf? Make her a shelf? What? Oh yeah, seashell. Alright. And see the tides come up quite a bit since I walked out here. Just I hung around there. That was probably nearly an hour ago. Yeah, before I was walking down and around there. Come up a couple feet since then. Oh, there's another crane. Nice. Majestic. I'm gonna go chill out up here in the shade on this log. Nice day. All right. Time to do some more beachcombing. See if I can find any cool shells. Found a couple cool rocks already. Maybe find a cool stick. Some garbage. All these crushed up shells. Pulverized by the weather. Some of the finest sand round up right out here. Man, what a mess. Lots of clams out here. We got clams, a lot of crabs. Speaking of clams, we got gooey ducks. Dig down, find them big old giant penis clams like the size of your forearm. They're kind of gross, but I mean to look at. But I ate a little bit of them a couple times. It was all right. I just had to not like think about what I was eating. Had them sliced real thin and fried, I think it was. Japanese restaurant. Yeah, mussels out here. But there's some real good clams and crabs. As long as you get out farther toward the open water, away from the pollution in the boats, get a bit cleaner. Some of these beaches are a bit toxic. They recommend not eating these shellfish from these beaches here. Anyway, all right, looking for some good shells here. See what we got. On a baseball. Nice. I'll take that. Cool. This totem. Kind of nice. Got good shape. This one could be too. It's got some barnacles stuck on it. This one's pretty clean. I think I'll take that one. This is a real similar one. This one's in better shape than I've got. No shortage of shells out here, but I'm just trying to find a nice looking one. There's another. That's pretty good. Yeah, who knows, man? That rock right there might have some significance that we just don't know about. No way of knowing, I guess, unless you were to dig it up and examine it. You know, maybe it used to sit up higher, got sunk down in the sand over the years. I don't know. A little bit of sea glass or something. Yeah, so I'm almost up to the parking spot there under the bridge. I gotta say, it's a pretty nice walk. Like, takes about half-hour out. However long you want to mess around, or if you want to go past the rock, you could go further too. I went a little bit further this time, but not far. And about a half-hour back. Like I said, I prefer this, walking this way. I've been both ways. I've been from east, I've been from northeast, north road, the end there. And I prefer this way from the Retan road. Oh yeah, a whole bunch of sandstone right there. Who knows, man? At some point, stuff could have had some cool carvings on it too. It's like big old slabs of sandstone under the beach here. I don't know. How's this looking? Got two halves there. Looking decent. I'm gonna take that home to the wife. See what she thinks. It's a nice looking house. An interesting chimney. Like galvanized steel plates. A modern mix of modern and traditional for the Northwest style. A nice, well-kept place up here too. Big old cedar tree. There's a lot of cedar trees here on Bainbridge. Actually, come to think of it, there's one movie. I want to say it's from around like 25 years ago, maybe 1999, 2000, somewhere around there. Snow Falling on Cedars. I saw it once. I think it, I'm not sure. I don't think it was, maybe not filmed here. Probably filmed in Vancouver, BC. Most likely. I'm gonna have to look that up. But it was set on Bainbridge Island, I think. In terms of the story, sort of a romance story between a white guy and a Japanese woman during the World War II internment stuff that I was talking about earlier. I might have to check that movie out again someday. Another big rock. I don't know anything about this one though. Maybe it's got a story too. So yeah, pretty easy to find the trail on the way back too, because you know, before you get to the bridge, you're gonna go up under the power lines here. It's not There's not like a sign down here showing where it is, but you can't miss it if you look for the obviously the bridge and those power lines. Yeah, it's a nice walk. Definitely recommend checking it out if you want a fairly quiet hike. Just got to be mindful of the private property and so on. Park carefully.